let's talk about hydrothermal features. So again, hydrothermal activity, the key thing is water. It's water heated from underground. It creates things like hot springs. Hot springs are where water heated from underground comes up to the surface and is warm. So what we have is magma down here heating up these hot rocks, and then these hot rocks in turn are heating up the water. These can cause features like geysers. So in Yellowstone Park, you have a number of geysers of water that shoots up out of the ground because of steam pressure that builds up. Like Old Faithful. Old Faithful is a good example of a geyser. Another feature that's sort of less dramatic is a fumarole, and this is a surface crack where steam is coming out. And this is one in Iceland. There's a number of these in Hawaii where you have volcanic activity underneath the ground in a wet groundwater. In some places, the magma underneath the ground is causing steam to come up through the ground. You can also have what are called mud pots. Mud pots are where you have this sort of boiling mud from water heated underneath the ground. Now, well, the place that's probably best known for this is Yellowstone. And Yellowstone National Park is actually over a geologic hotspot. We talked about Hawaii being over hotspot. They don't all have to be underneath the ocean. You can have them underneath the land. And so you have this large magma chamber underneath Yellowstone National Park, which causes and fractures in the rock, and you have water coming into here, and that magma chamber underneath is heating up the water, causing these geothermal features. So about half of the world's geysers are actually in Yellowstone National Park. It is probably the most iconic example of where you have, it's not the only one, but it is probably where you have the most visible geothermal activity. And as mentioned in the prior lecture, you also have precipitation that happens because that water is hot. It's effective at dissolving material, and then when it comes off to the surface, the material will precipitate, causing all this these minerals to form over the rocks.